Usually I'm a huge advocate for just jumping in and getting started with business, but dropshipping comes with warnings.
My failed businesses and why did I fail?
Tell me something that you thought that would sell.
Biggest takeaways from my failed drop.
$220,000, but I failed.
Dropshipping is riddled with payment bans and ad account bans that could affect you for your entire life. This is a message to my younger viewers. Make sure you watch this video before you get started with dropshipping.
That's cool.
Cool? Hey everyone, I'm Davey. I'm 26 years old and my Shopify brands have done over $270 million in sales. Today is a really special video. We're gonna break down the dark side of dropshipping. The other day, a kid came into my office. He's 16 years old and just dropped out of school. He was incredibly smart, driven, and ready for success. He was telling me stories about how his stores were doing huge volumes, making more than his parents and his teachers combined. I've seen some of his Shopify dashboards now, and he's doing over $20,000 in sales a day. The problem is, he's doing dropshipping. His main challenges right now is that his Facebook ad account keeps getting banned. He needs to set them up through agency accounts or his friends and family. All of these headaches with account bans stops people from finding success with e-commerce. Even when you find success, those account bans are gonna keep following you and stopping your momentum. They stop you from focusing on the main things like fixing your advertising and your website. Instead, you're focusing on where my next ad account is gonna be. I personally was incredibly lucky. When I started The Oodie, I custom branded my store and focused on customer experience from day one. This means that I've never had an account ban. However, I'm very, very familiar with it, and I'm gonna tell you exactly how to avoid it today. As the internet became more mainstream, globalization happened. China became closer and dropshipping was born. Western economies were able to contact Chinese suppliers easily and ship products directly from China to their country. Dropshipping, as you know, is a pretty simple business model. All you need to do is acquire a customer and then the Chinese manufacturer will ship it directly from China. You hold no inventory, so the risk is much lower. The fact it is so simple is the main problem of dropshipping. Basically, anyone with an internet connection can do it. Online gurus are busy selling courses, but they don't actually tell you the main risks of the business model itself. So these are the reasons why people think dropshipping is such a good idea. The first and foremost is that low barrier to entry. It requires very little capital to get started. The second thing is the simplicity. You don't have to handle the freight component and setting up the 3PL. The logistics is much simpler. All you need to worry about is acquiring the customers and also the customer service component. The other benefit that often isn't talked about is the tax component. A lot of countries have thresholds for their duties, and by shipping directly to China, you can actually avoid those duties by shipping under that cost. If that's the case, why don't we hear about more dropshippers on the Forbes list? There are some major disadvantages about this business model. Let's get into them. Before we keep going, make sure you like and subscribe. The first major disadvantage of dropshipping lies in its simplicity, in that it's super competitive. With low barriers of entry, people flock into the market. It's basic economics. The standard business model for dropshipping is going onto a tool like AdSpy and then finding a product that has high amounts of social proof. Because this business strategy has been standardized, what will happen is when a product scales quite well, lots of other people will flock into it and your margin will drop. The competition will increase. This is the same for other tools like Ecom Hunt. Because everyone is using them, everyone is launching the same products. While you may be able to arbitrage Facebook traffic initially, what will happen is that if you do not differentiate your product, people will keep undercutting each other and the ad cost will keep going up. Pair that with the Chinese suppliers actually listing their products on Amazon themselves and you're in real big trouble. Basically, your trend lifespan has been shortened. The other negative of dropshipping is my biggest pet peeve. There is no customer connection. In e-commerce, you have two elements. You have acquisition, acquiring a customer, and then retention, keeping them around. Dropshippers generally only really care about the acquisition piece. They're trying to make profit on the first purchase of the transaction. So basically, they're buying ads, they're buying the one product, they're shipping it to them, minus the courier cost, and you get your profits. Often, brands are actually the opposite. They'll be willing to lose money on the first acquisition cost so that they can retain their customers, bring them back to repeat purchase, and make money over time. There are actually two reasons why this is the case. Because of the really competitive nature of dropshippers, often what will happen is the product quality will continuously drop. Suppliers will continuously reduce the quality of their product to increase the margin. Dropshippers will then gravitate to this supplier and eventually the product will just break. We all have that experience of just buying a product, as cheap as possible at getting it, and it barely even works. The second element around retention is the shipping times. If you buy a product from a store and it takes over 30 days to get to you, you're never gonna buy from it again, especially when there's an alternative that has 2 to 8 days shipping time, or even 1 day with Amazon. Now, this continues a chain reaction. With the delayed shipping times comes negative reviews. These negative reviews can be in the form of the automatic Facebook survey that Facebook sends your customers after they purchase, or they can be on sites like Trustpilot. With all these negative reviews, the next step is platform bans. All platforms out there, whether it's Stripe or Facebook ads, want to make sure that their customers have a good experience. They invest millions of dollars in preventing this negative experience from happening to their customers, whether it be fraud or scams. If a customer buys something off the newsfeed and it comes and it's a really bad experience, chances are that you're not gonna buy something off the newsfeed again. This is why Facebook would rather just ban the account straight away than risk their user experience. Now, once this ban happens, it's very hard to get your accounts back. Even when you make a mistake when you're 12 years old, it's gonna haunt you for the rest of your career. I was banned off a payment gateway when I was very young selling headphones, and it lost me so much money when I first started Woody. Before I get into mitigating the risk with dropshipping and account bans, I thought I'd jump on the phone with the Ecom King. This guy is a beast in the industry. He's got brands and dropshipping stores, so he's gonna be an expert on the topic. Let's give him a call now. So Camille, you're one of the biggest advocates for dropshipping I know. Can you please tell our subscribers a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Camille Satter, known as the Ecom King. I started my YouTube channel about 3 years ago, and I started e-commerce back in 2015, buying and reselling sneakers and clothing. And then in 2017, that's when I came across dropshipping. And then ever since then, I've just been doing dropshipping. And since then, we've been building a few different e-commerce brands as well.
How many products and brands are you actually running at the moment?
Yeah, so in terms of actual e-commerce brands, white label brands, around about 4 or 6. In terms of dropshipping stores, we've got around about 5 to 8 of those.
That's awesome. It sounds like you've got a bit of a balance of dropshipping and brand, which really makes you a great person to talk about the topic that we're talking about today. Do you have any advice for beginners getting started with either dropshipping or branding?
Yeah, so for those that are looking to do like dropshipping branding, the best thing that I can advise you to do is start with a lower amount of buying in bulk. You can actually do like 10 minimum. We found some suppliers that will let you do 10 in quantities and then start private labeling, and do the private labeling slowly. Don't go straight into it all. Maybe start with some packaging branding, then start with maybe a logo on the product, and then you can start scaling into things like actual own custom designing and stuff like of the products.
If you're just getting started in the industry, would you recommend drop shipping or branding as a whole, using a 3PL, going fully into it?
Yeah, great question. So my personal opinion on this, now there's no right or wrong from it, is I do think dropshipping is a great way to start. Now, in terms of how long you should be dropshipping for is a second question, which is important. Now, I think you should be dropshipping to start with for maybe the first 30 to 50 orders, maybe a little bit less depending on how confident you are. But I do think it is important for a lot of these guys that are starting their e-commerce journeys to actually get a bit of proof of concept, know the product that is actually doing pretty well when they use it on Facebook, Google, all these other advertisement platforms. And then once they're confident and they know they're getting consistent orders, they're making a bit of money, then I think they should move to, like you say, a 3PL, ordering it in bulk, using certain agents and suppliers to private label. But I do believe everybody should be testing drop shipping. But the thing is, a lot of people get stuck drop shipping, and that's where I do very much disagree with that. I think you should only be doing it very, very short term.
What makes a successful brand? What are some lessons that you've learned along the way?
In my opinion, getting a lot of customers, but keeping them happy with what your brand is all about, and then you can then funnel more people in again and again. But with a brand, it just comes down to really keeping those people happy, and this is the difference between starting a brand and not doing a brand. You've got to keep the people that you get into your door extremely happy. You've got to be very transparent with them. You've got to give them everything that they want from you as a brand, and you've got to really listen to them more than you would with another e-commerce store, let's say a dropshipping store, for example.
Totally. If I could summarize, it's more emotional rather than making sure the customers have a strong emotion to you rather than just focusing on the profits of the business.
Yeah, so it's less impulse. So it's less about impulse buying, and it's more a little bit about you storytelling and telling people what you are there for. Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you get this comment probably more than most. Ad account bans. How many have you had? How do you prevent it? Talk us through it.
So I've been through around about 20 to 30 ad accounts right now. I've got ad accounts on my mom's Facebook, my dad's Facebook, my brother's Facebook. So I've had to use a lot of different ad accounts. Now, in terms of getting around it, really what you've got to do is you've got to try and stay as compliant as you can with Facebook. So doing your ID verification, doing your business manager verification, make sure your domain's verified, making sure on your website you've got a blog, you've got content that Facebook's looking for. Make sure you're not using copyrighted imagery. Try and get some custom content done. And this applies as well with your video content. So when you're using your videos on your ads, try not to copy people's videos. Get unique videos made, UGC content done or something like that, because as soon as they see a copyright, they're going to strike you really hard and they're going to basically black label your account going forward based on a trust issue with them. And the same with your ad copy. Make sure you're not copying and pasting other people's ad copies. Make some unique content, and the same with thumbnails as well. Now, something else that I do recommend that works really well is you've also got to look at what Facebook deems really bad. So for example, certain skins they don't like close-ups. But a big way to get around this, and we found that works really well, is you need to try and get yourself an agency account. I find with agency accounts, especially for like our fashion stores, they never get banned. Like, it was funny, we were looking at this other it was like a lingerie brand, it was like a lingerie fashion brand, and on their Facebook ads they've literally got women on there where they've got obviously their skin revealed, and obviously normally you'd get straight away banned for that, but because they've got an agency account they can just get away with a lot of stuff.
So shipping times as well, I get this comment every single video. Can you run us through shipping times with drop shipping, how to improve them, or how to get around that as well?
So yeah, with drop shipping times, you're looking at, it doesn't matter which company you use, AliExpress, Alibaba, One Product Dropship, and these other companies that are around, you're looking at around about 7 to 15 days as long as you're using a special line delivery, which is going to cost you an extra $3 to $5 than these other lines, which typically most people use, and that will take between 20 and 30 days. And I always advise my people, don't ever go with anything that's longer than 20 days, because that is really, really bad and you're going to get chargebacks and refunds. So do go with a special line when you're doing one product drop shipping, which will get you around about 7 to 15, potentially 18 days, because that's way better than anything else. Now, in terms of then obviously getting that down quicker, then you're looking at buying in bulk, using an agent and a fulfillment center and things like that, 3PL, like you said before.
Ecom King, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your advice. I can't wait to see what you do next. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, man, for having me. I really do appreciate it, and I do love what you've been doing on your YouTube channel recently. So again, thank you so much.
There's one more person that I want to call, Jordan Welch. He's touched on this topic a few times on his YouTube channel. Let's give him a call and see what he thinks. Jordan, thanks so much for joining us. Can you tell our subscribers just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Jordan. I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my entire life. Right now, I run a YouTube channel where I've been documenting my entrepreneurial journey, have an e-commerce brand and a software company called Viral Vault.
How many products and brands are you running at the moment?
Just one. I mean, there's so much work with running the YouTube channel and the software that for me to start another brand, I think I would go a little crazy. So just working on this one brand right now, but hopefully in the future can build a portfolio like you have.
For sure. And is that a dropshipping brand?
Well, we started with dropshipping initially when we first were testing and when we found the product, but now we hold inventory out in China and we fulfill with an agent. So we do have some stock. It's a totally custom product now.
Do you have any advice for some beginners with dropshipping?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about dropshipping is that there's a lot of people that are trying to do it. And usually with beginners, right, they're looking for the strategy. They're looking for the best way to get started. I think the best thing is really to try to become a better marketer, like really trying to sharpen your skills, because with starting any business, it all comes down to the skills that you acquire. So really learning marketing, understanding copywriting, understanding sales, and also graphic design and video editing. Those are the things that I would focus on instead of just some strategy or some secret winning product.
In terms of ad account bans, have you had them before with your dropshipping experience?
Yeah, it seems to be pretty inevitable. Even with the brand, even with my brand with fully custom content, good feedback score, we still would run into bans from Facebook. So I've never been able to fully get around it. It's definitely happened to me many times, yeah.
What are your strategies to deal with that, if any?
Well, I've tried it all, it seems like, and I did figure out a way now that has me running this account for over a year without getting banned. But prior to that, I've tried just doing appeals with Facebook. That has worked. I've tried setting up new accounts with a friend or a family page. That has worked, but all these are temporary solutions. What I had to do, and it's super complicated, but I had to use another computer in another location and log in with AnyDesk. It's like a remote desktop software. So Facebook doesn't see my internet or any of my IP. Super annoying. And keep in mind, this is with my brand that has my own custom content, my own like everything. It's mine, but it's whatever. So Facebook's very picky nowadays.
Yeah, I've heard people are using VPS to access agency accounts, and that seems to be working for a little bit, and then they obviously crack down on that as well for probably no reason. In your case, you've obviously got amazing reviews and a good differentiated product as well. So pretty frustrating stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty picky, but it's part of the game, like you kind of have to deal with it. In any business, there's going to be some challenges, so that's just one of the ones we have to deal with. And thankfully, there's a lot of other platforms too, especially for beginners out there. TikTok seems to be the one. If I was starting over today, I would probably be putting 80% of my time into TikTok or more.
That's great advice. Resilience and perseverance. I love it, man. Thanks so much for taking the time out today.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Appreciate you for having me on.
As you can see, Jordan is also an expert in the space. You're probably looking at these successful people that are making lots of money in the space and saying, why can't I do this? The truth is, dropshipping can make you money. People see dropshipping as a whole business model, but the truth is, it's just the first stage of building your brand. It is the product validation stage. It should only be used then. And also, you should be paranoid about compliance in that stage so you don't get banned before you even get started. So, how do we avoid getting banned? On Facebook, it's pretty simple. First, don't use other people's content. Don't even use the factory's content. Chances are that someone else has used it, scammed people, and that content is now either blacklisted or is just gonna get you banned. Don't use low quality content. Facebook wants to make sure its feed is aesthetic and engaging. What's your Facebook account quality score? All you need to do is go into your settings in your business manager to check that. Make sure you're checking it every 3 days. Make a habit of it. Make sure you follow all the steps, such as registering your business, putting your ID in the settings of your business manager. Make sure your products are also compliant. Read Facebook's terms and services. Make sure that you're not selling anything too sexual or something related to drugs. Also, make sure your landing page experience is good. Build the Shopify store correctly. Put proper customer service channels and make sure they get answered very, very quickly. If there is a shipping delay or something like that, just communicate it to your customer. This will reduce the amount of chargebacks you have and avoid the risk of your payment platform banning you as well. Once you've sold that 30 to 100 products, then you need to make a plan to get out of the dropshipping phase. What does this look like? This phase is gonna look different depending on your business. What I would try to do is differentiate my product somehow. This may involve a product designer or even just graphic designers to brand your product differently. You may also need some capital to get started. Ask some friends and family or look at raising some money from investors. If you have a good account, good website with good ROAS, people will be willing to invest in you. You then need to talk to your supplier about shipping the product internationally. Make sure you do your calculations because now there's going to be new import duties involved. Make sure that your 3PL is actually cheaper than actually drop shipping in the first place. You're gonna get shorter shipping times and more margin. I suggest picking one region to sell in. Go into your ad account or your Shopify store and see which region is giving you the most profits. Once you know what country you're exporting to, then you need to find a 3PL. Just do a simple Google, or you can head over to our Facebook group and ask our community. A 3PL operates very similar to how your supplier was operating. The order will feed in through Shopify, go to your 3PL system, and the 3PL will then fulfill it. If you feel like you're operationally sound and your product's suitable, you can even start a warehouse yourself. Because you've changed a process in your business, you also need to change what you're focusing on. For example, you need to start focusing on forecasting. You need to do some level of prediction to make sure that your 3PL always has stock. You need to understand your lead times for the product. You can hire a merchandise planner or a demand planner, as well as a supply chain manager on Upwork to help you with that. Make sure you also start advertising your really short shipping times on your website. If you've got a few drop shipping competitors with a better branded site, shorter shipping times, you're gonna wipe them out of the market. If you wanna learn how to make a brand, I've started a whole series on it where I'm developing a cleaning product. Go check it out. As you can see, dropshipping is not a whole business model. It is great to learn your Facebook marketing and how to find product market fit. If you have any questions about today's video, please leave them in the comment section and I'll try to respond. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.